Hello, good morning again. Okay, so applied economics. So let's just wait for other students. Wala pa namang gas. Okay, wait lang natin sila. So anyway, kamusta naman kayo? May nagkasakit ba sa inyo? Last, I think, starting ng January, ang dami kasing nagkasakit. And isa rin ba kayo sa mga nagkasakit? Tilagnat, inubo, at sinipon? Ako last time ata yun, nilagnat ako. Sinipon, tapos inubo. I think kung nagpa-check up ako, baka COVID yun. Yan. So, ang nandito pa lang ay si Charis Montuerto, Cristel Vistal, Jaisel Cabucos, Ara Domingo, Rowel Ting, Charlotte Acoba, and then Maria Russell A. Javier. Okay, so again, magsasend ulit yung mga teachers natin or si Miss Ron, I think siya yung mag-a-announce na may extend yung first semester natin. Okay, so yun. It's because mawawala ng pasok starting January 17 until January 29. Okay, so meron tayong 2 weeks na hindi magkaklase. Tapos, I think mauusog yung assessment week nyo. Kasi dapat January 24 yun eh. January 24, this week. Tapos may extend parang February 7 ata. Mamove. Okay, so yun. As much as possible, if not important, let's just stay inside our house. So to avoid getting sick, lalo na dumadami yung cases ng COVID. So let's just be cautious na rin. Yan. So we have 2 weeks para mag-rest. Yung iba sa atin para mag-rest and then para ma-avoid din, especially dun sa mga may mga face-to-face na. Yan, para ma-avoid yung pag-spread din ng virus. Okay, since wala pa naman na sila, ayan. So I think I'll discuss na din. Then later, kapag nandito na sila, we will discuss your activities in applied economics. Okay, so for our lesson for the day, we are already on lesson 6.1. So actually, dalawa yung topic na meron dito sa chapter 6 eh. Yan. So first, yung the circular flow of economic activities. So paano nagpo-flow? I think this can be yung kung paano nagpo-flow din yung pera within the economy. So I've heard or based on the research, yan isa sa may pinakamabilis na flow yung Pilipinas, yung economic ng Pilipinas. It's because yung culture kasi ng Pilipino, kapag sumusweldo sila, bumibili agad sila. Ganun, parang ganun yung yung culture ng Filipino. Yan. And usually kung gaano din kalaki yung income nila, ganun din kalaki yung expenses nila. Okay? So, mabilis daw yung ikot ng pera sa Pilipinas. Ayan. If you will observe, no, lalo na pag mga quincenas, tapos mga katapusan, ang haba ng pila sa ATM, and madaming tao sa mall, no? Kung i-compare nga daw sa mga mall sa ibang bansa, yung Pilipinas, ang dami talagang tao. Maraming tao talaga sa mall, kahit hindi seasonal, kahit walang holidays, ganyan. And kahit Sabado, Linggo lang, napakadaming tao. Mahilig mag-mall ang mga Pilipino. So, that can be an indication na mabilis yung ikot ng pera sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas. Okay, so what are households? So households are composed of individuals consuming goods and services. We all belong to this sector. Okay, so lahat tayo, no? We belong in household. So yung mga household, ito yung group of people or or individuals na nagko-consume ng goods and services. Okay, like yung mga basic necessities natin, for example, yung mga groceries, ayan. Services, for example, yung mga internet services, and then mga utilities, ganyan. So, lahat tayo nagko-consume, no, ng ganitong goods and services. Okay, meanwhile, in the business sector, they provide the household's needs for goods and services. Okay, so di ba tayo nasa household tayo nakabilang. Okay? Yung mga business sector naman, sila naman yung nagpo-provide ng mga pangangailangan ng mga nasa households. For example, San Miguel Corporation, sila yung nagpo-provide mostly ng mga necessities and mga for hygiene, pag galing sa Unilever. And then, pag Meralco, yung yung utilities natin. And then, pag mga Globe, PLDT, sila naman yung nagpo-provide ng internet. Yan. So, yun yung mga business sector natin. So, what is the interrelationship between households and businesses? Okay, so yun, yung household, meron silang mga needs and wants. And yung mga businesses, sila naman yung nagpo-provide ng needs and wants ng households na yun in exchange of income or money. Okay, so yun yung basic interrelationship ng households and business. Okay, next naman, analyze how the flow of activities in households and businesses affects the entire economy. Actually, hindi lang naman yun, no? Yung isang interrelationship. Marami pa namang connection, no? Between, or maraming activities na nagpo-flow between household and businesses. For example, ang mga businesses nagpo-provide ng jobs for the households, and then papasweldohan nila yon. So, pag sumweldo ang household, bibili naman sila ng mga ino-offer na services and goods ng mga businesses. So, parang paikot-ikot lang yung pera. Okay? So, again, magpa-provide ang mga businesses ng job to the household. Kapag kumita na yung household, bibili naman sila ng goods and services doon sa business. So, babalik ulit yung pera sa businesses, and then magpapasweldo ulit sila sa households. Okay? So, ayan. Next learning objective naman natin is to analyze how the flow of activities in households and business sectors affects the economy, and conduct a survey of macro and micro environments affecting business in a locality. Okay, household and business exchange. It says here, households buy goods and services from businesses. Businesses, on the other hand, get the needed factors for production from households. For this activity, work by pairs. One will represent household and the other will represent businesses. So we can do this, no, kasi unti lang tayo, no. Ayan. So we can answer this one by our own. Okay, so why do businesses charge the consumer that price? Okay, so I think, no, syempre, no, isa sa mga reasons kung bakit nag-charge ng ganun ang businesses sa mga consumers, it's because syempre meron silang manpower, no, and yung mga raw materials, manpower, raw materials, and then mga other overheads or yung mga pang-office or back office na mga salaries. So, pag tinotal nila yon, ayun, dun sila kukuha kung magkano yung magiging price no mga products. Yan. So, isa sa mga isa sa mga factors, no, or mga reasons kung bakit ganun yung price is yung mga paswelduhan. How do households contribute to the production of goods and services offered by the different businesses? It's because sa households, kumukuha ng manpower yung mga businesses. Okay, so sino yung gumagawa ng mga products? Ayan. So, sa household, kukuha ang mga businesses, mga gagawa ng products nila and services. How do households get income from businesses? Through salaries. Ganon. So, kapag kapag nabigyan sila ng job ng business, then they will do the job, they will do the task, and then during quincenas, no, and then katapusan, makakuha sila ng income. No, papasweldohan sila ng business. Okay, so how will the flow of activities between households and businesses affect the entire economy? Okay, so pag merong consistent flow of activities between household and businesses, yan, magiging stable yung economy natin. Okay, kasi lahat nag-ooperate and at the same time, both sides naman kumikita. Ayan, so they can contribute by paying taxes. And ayan, businesses can continually provide jobs to the households. Yan. So, magiging stable, no, yung economy natin. Yan. So, this can be discussed in this chart. And for example, ayan, taxes and social services. So, first, the household, as you can see, ayan, syempre may mga pangangailangan yung households natin, like yung mga basic necessities and services. Okay, so they will consume expenditures or mga expenses na yon, no, and makukuha nila to from the business, no, kasi yung mga business sectors natin sila yung nagpo-provide at nag-create, no, ng goods and services na kailangan ng households. And then syempre ang businesses may pangangailangan din, and they need manpower from households. Okay, so ayan, they will pay income to the households. So there. Okay, so ayun, yan. So yan, they will, ayan, factors of productions yan kailangan ng business. So galing yung manpower ng businesses sa households. Yeah, so the household yan will flow for the factors of production, and then the businesses will be able to provide goods and services there. Okay, so between household, government, and businesses naman, no. So from the household, they can also pay taxes to the government, and then the business sectors also pay taxes to the government. But at the same time, the government will provide social services for both households and businesses. Okay, gets ba natin yung part na yun? Yan. So for the household sector, it is the consuming unit. Okay, so they are the one that has needs and services, no? That is why nag-exist yung mga businesses. It's because merong mga needs and wants yung mga households, and then the business will provide. Okay, so it owns the resources or factors of production, like land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Okay, so hindi lang labor, no, yung kayang i-provide ng household to the business sector. Okay, so hindi lang mga employees, and as well as syempre yung capital. For example, yung mga shareholders natin, yan yung mga investors natin. Ayan. And syempre, yung idea nung pagka-create ng business nanggagaling sa entrepreneurship or yung mga entrepreneurs natin. So sila yung nagsasuggest kung ano ba yung products na pwedeng i-offer ng business sectors. And sila yung parang brain, no, ng mga businesses. So for the business sector, it is the basic producing unit. So yung isa naman, yung household natin, tinatawag na consuming unit. So yung business sector natin, ito yung tinatawag na producing unit. So it transforms input or factors of production into outputs or goods and services. Okay, so hindi lang labor, no, yung kailangan ng business sector from the household, hindi lang labor or hindi lang yung mga employees natin, as well as yung capital natin, capital ng household. Okay, so this input, like for example, yung mga raw materials or skills na tinatawag, ayan, and then syempre yung manpower natin or yung labor natin, they will convert it into outputs na tinatawag na goods and services, na which is kailangan ng ano natin, na kailangan ng ano natin, ng households natin. Okay. So aside from the households and business sectors, we also have the government. Okay, it acts as regulating unit in an economy. So it collects money in the form of taxes from households and firms, but at the same time, they also provide social services. Okay, so bakit nga ba kailangan ng government? It's because para hindi hindi mapagsamantalahan ng business sector ang household natin. So for example, yan yung pagre-regulate ng mga SRPs, hindi pwedeng lumagpas ang mga businesses sa ganung prices ng products. Yan. And then yung mga labor codes, sila din yung nagpo-provide nun para hindi naman maabuso ng mga employers ang mga employees. Ganyan. Okay, so yun yung mga reason bakit kailangan may government. Dapat merong parang tinatawag na referee, no, sa economy. So there are two basic kinds of markets households and firms engage in. So these are the input or tinatawag na factor, and then yung output na tinatawag nating product, or yung goods and services market. Okay? Input and output market. Okay, so when we say input market or yung tinatawag na factor market, production of goods and services requires input or resources. So these resources are also called factors of production. So the household offers these resources for sale to firms through the input or factor market. Okay, so parang ano lang, yung business sector, kumukuha sila ng mga employees from households. Yan. Kumbaga parang sa households, kumukuha ng resources ang mga businesses. No? But in exchange of income or salary. Output market or product market, the resources that firms buy from the households are transformed into goods and services. So these are exchanged in the output or product markets. So the income that households earn from the sale of resources is used to consume goods and services. So parang paikot-ikot lang. Okay, so again, no, um, ayan, kailangan ng manpower ng businesses. So that is why papasok ang households natin. So from the household, dyan makukuha yung mga pangkapital and then yung other resources such as yung mga manpower natin. And syempre, in exchange of that, sweldohan nila no, itong mga labors natin. And yung kinita ng mga household from the labor, yan, yung mga salary, yan yung pinambibili nila ng goods and services. Okay? So pag bumili ng goods and services ng households natin, so kikita naman no ang business sectors from the households through sales. Okay? So syempre pag kumita ang businesses, so meron ulit silang papasweldohan, no? Na meron silang mapapasweldo ulit sa households. So parang paikot-ikot lang yung pera. Okay? So next, let's check your progress. How does the business sector pay for the factors of productions they use to produce goods and services? Okay, so paano nga ba nakakapagbayad daw no ang business sector? Yan, para sa factors of production. Ayun, kapag kumita si business from selling goods and services, may papasweldo na sila. No? Meron na silang may papasweldo dun sa manpower nila. Okay, any question? All good naman? Okay, gets naman natin? Okay, so next, the government acts as a regulating agency that binds the households and businesses to ensure that a fair and equitable trade is achieved. Okay, so yan, parang nag-act as referee no yung government natin para hindi maabuso ng mga employers ang employees, para hindi masyadong mapataas yung price ng bilihin, at hindi pa laging maging tawag dito, consumer are always right. So meron pa rin mga batas no na pabor pa rin para sa mga business sectors. So yon, ang gitna ay yung government no, to avoid no yung mga unfairness and inequity. Okay, so next, the government has to collect a sum of money from both the households and firms through taxes, fines, and dues. Okay, so ayun, syempre pag kumikita yung household, no, kasama sa mga compensation nila, kailangan nila magbayad ng tax. And at the same time, yung mga business sectors naman, kailangan din naman nilang magbayad ng taxes din. So isa sa mga taxes na binabayaran din ng mga households is yung VAT. Okay, kapag bumibili sila ng goods and services, may kaakibat yun, no? Or may kadikit yun na VAT taxes. Okay? Okay, so how does the household sector afford the goods and services they buy from the business sectors? Okay, so paano doon na-afford ng household yung goods and services no na binibili nila from the business sector? Syempre kapag nasweldohan na sila ng business sector. Pag kumita na sila from providing their labor or their skills no to the business sector. So kikita sila, magkakaroon sila ng salary, and then makakabili na sila ng goods and services. Okay, just to wrap up, the interrelationship between households and businesses shows the flow of goods and services and the flow of income between the two sectors. So the household is considered the basic consuming unit in a circular flow of the economy. The government acts as a regulating agency that binds the households and businesses to ensure that fair and equitable trade is achieved. Okay, so any question from that lesson? Wala naman. Okay, nagets naman natin your circular flow of in the economy, circular flow of activities. Okay, so nagets naman natin no kung paano umiikot ang pera. Okay, so yeah, next. So ang nadagdag sa atin ay si Irene Palabon. Okay, so next, lesson 6.2, the main producing sectors in the economy. Okay, so we already know no kung sino yung producing sectors. Ito yung business sectors. Okay, but who is the main producing sectors in the economy? Okay, so while enjoying your breakfast cereals, have you ever stopped to know how these favorite treats are made readily available in your local groceries? Ayan. So, minsan pag kumakain din tayo, no, minsan ba nag-wonder tayo kung paano kaya nagawa tong goods and services na to? Ayan. And then, kung saang company siya nanggaling. Okay, especially pag masarap yung food, no? Yan. So everything that we buy starts as plants, minerals, or animals. So these raw materials undergo changes to make them into products that we buy and use. Okay, so ayan, naiisip na ba natin no kung sino yung main producing unit natin or main producing sectors natin? Okay, so dito nagagaling yung plants, minerals, or animals. I think, yan, naiisip na natin no, kung sino yung main producing sectors ng economy. Okay, so for our learning competency, we should be able to understand the main producing sectors of the economy and its contribution to the production of goods and services. Okay, so no, again, no, we should be able to understand the main producing sectors. So for our learning objectives for this lesson, we should be able to identify how business activities are classified as primary, secondary, or tertiary. Okay, and then we should be able to explain that business activities in the different sectors are interdependent. Okay, so parang magkaka-connect, no, yung different sectors. Yan. Kumbaga parang dependent sila sa isa't isa. Okay, so let's connect. Yan. For example, a cup of coffee. ABC Company buys Robusta coffee beans from coffee farmers and coffee cooperatives in the Bukidnon and Sultan Kudarat. So the ABC Company production site is located at the Cagayan de Oro. The manufacturing process only uses green coffee beans and water, making sure that the product is pure and high quality. So that the finished product in the form of coffee in a jar is packed into cases and delivered to retail outlets for sale to consumers. The products are usually transported by sea and land. So ito yung parang process, no, from the start or from the beginning up to the distribution or transportation of that coffee. Okay, so again, no, mula sa bibili ang mga company, no, ng raw materials from our farmers and coffee and then mga cooperatives, and then this will be processed in that company, and then yan, to provide or to produce pure and high quality products, and this will be packaged, and then this will be transported through land or by the sea. Okay, so identify at least 3 processes involved in the production of coffee. So ano ka ba yung tatlong yun? Or at least 3 no, na process in the production of coffee. I think yung first process is yung purchase ng raw materials from the coffee farmers and cooperatives. And then next is yung manufacturing process. Yan, in the company. Yan, or manufacturing process or production process. And then next is yung distribution process. So I think marami pang mga processes, no? Depende rin naman yan sa business kung ano pa yung mga other processes nila. Okay, identify at least 3 business organizations involved in the process of producing coffee. So first, I think yung nag-provide ng raw materials, which is the farmers and the coffee cooperatives. And then yung next is the company itself. Yan, yung company na nag-manufacture ng product. And then lastly, yung mga retails natin. Retail outlets. At least 3 lang naman daw, no? I think marami pa namang involved dyan. Even the shipping company, yan, yung mga shipping organizations are also involved. And based on the case presented above, what could you say about the process of production? So I think madaming process ng production. And ang dami ring included na organization sa pagpo-produce ng coffee. Hindi lang pala siya basta yung isang process lang, no, like manufacturing process lang. Marami pa palang ibang process like yung pagpo-purchase ng raw materials, and then manufacturing process or yung packaging process din, and then yung distribution na process. So yun, hindi lang pala siya basta kape lang. So maraming involved na organization and then process. Okay, so next, how are the businesses interdependent with each other in the creation of goods and services? Okay, so ano nga ba sila naging dependent sa isa't isa? Okay, so I think yan, just like we have discussed during the circular flow of activities, yan, interdependent sila sa isa't isa. It's because yung isa kailangan ng income or kailangan ng sales. Yung isa namang organization, kailangan nila ng manpower, kailangan nila ng raw materials, and yung iba naman, kailangan nila ng um, kailangan nila ng merong magdi-distribute ng product nila ng mabilis in exchange of money as well. Okay, so yon, hindi lang naman yung isa, parang kailangan give and take yan sa bawat sectors. Okay, so yan. Syempre, we are talking about the producing unit. So when we say producing unit, it is the business sectors. Okay, so producing unit, they are the one who do or create the products and services, and then this will be provided to the households. So again, no, ang producing unit natin, business sectors, while yung consuming unit natin, ito yung yung mga households. I think maingay yung nag-welding. Naririnig nyo? Okay. Ayan. So, first, yung primary sector natin. Teka. Try kong lumipat. Lipat tayo. Ayan. So, kita naman yung screen. Kita yung screen. Ayan. Maingay kasi pumasok ako sa kwarto. Okay, so I think medyo wala nang nag-welding. Okay, so first yung primary sector natin. Yan. So it says here, it is composed of the businesses that produce raw materials or extract raw materials from the land. So ito yung tinutukoy kanina na main producing unit natin. It's the motherland na tinatawag or yung mga likas na yaman natin. Okay, so for example, yung mga yamang tubig natin, they produce the fishes, yung even the water na kailangan ng business and creating the product. So lahat ng possible raw materials natin, yan, we can get it directly to the motherland na tinatawag. Okay, so this sector includes agriculture, fishery, or aquatic culture, forestry, mining, fuel, and or oil extraction. Yan, so pag kailangan natin ng kung kailangan natin ng mga pananim, no, yung galing like pag sa rice, kailangan natin ng palay, and then pag sa mga restaurant naman that they want to provide dishes na kailangan ng fish, so galing din naman sa mga aquaculture natin. And then for those who create houses, kailangan nila ng mga kahoy, ayan, from forestry. Ayan. For the other minerals like kailangan ng energy, yan, we can use the fuel or oil. Ayan. Okay, so our secondary sector, this sector is composed of businesses that transform raw materials into finished goods. Okay, so ayan, from raw materials, ayan, so yun yung pinaka main producing unit natin. And then next naman, these raw materials, Yan. They will convert it into finished goods. Yan. The secondary will do the transformation. And this sector includes the manufacturing, the construction, food and beverages processing, and engineering. Ayan. Okay, so next naman is the sector that is composed of businesses that provide services to individual and businesses. So ito naman, 'di ba? Yung secondary, more likely parang ito yung mga nagpo-produce ng goods, no? They will transform the raw materials into finished goods. While yung for tertiary naman natin, yan, sila naman na nagpo-provide ng services. For example, yung mga skills like consultation, yung mga doktor, mga accountants, mga um, mga nagpo-provide ng opinions nila, ng knowledge nila. Okay, this sector includes the banking and financial services, insurance, tourism, retailing, and wholesaling, education, and health services. Okay, so parang pwede rin tong maging this also includes the merchandising. Okay, so parang pwede rin naman yung mga, like for example, itong retail and wholesaling. Ayan. Kunyari, from the primary, yung mga raw materials, they will, the secondary sector will convert it into the finished goods, and then, pwede pa tong dumaan sa mga retailer and wholesaling or wholesaler na tinatawag. Yan, from the secondary that produces the finished goods, it will be also sold through tertiary sector, yung mga retailer and wholesaler natin, and up to the consumer na and the customer. Okay, so the chain of production. So the chain of production is a process that goods or services go through in order to be delivered to the consumer. Okay, so again, no, chain is the chain of production is the process of goods and services. In the chain of production, value is added to the raw materials through various stages of production until they become the finished goods. Okay, so ayun, through this process, nadadagdagan yung value ng mga raw materials na to. Kasi 'di ba, nako-convert sila into something that is more useful. Yan, for example, yung mga kahoy, the secondary sector, they will convert it into the pencils. Yan. Yan, parang nako-convert pa nila ito or natatransform pa nila yung mga raw materials into more useful. That is why value is added. Okay, so the chain of production, or parang this is the series of processes. So for example, no, in the forest, yan, we have the steppe forest, source of raw materials like hardwood, logs, and recent plantation. So yung step 1 natin is the conversion or production. So raw materials are produced or converted for intended use. Okay, for intended use means depende, no, kung saan siya paggagamitan. For example, kung magiging lapis ba siya or magiging bahay. Okay? Next step is the processing. In the processing stage, pulp is produced. And then the third step, transport or trade distribution. For example, di ba sa processing na na-transform na siya. Ayan, and then transport or trade distribution. Ayan, para mas mabenta siya ng mas mabilis, no, merong mga businesses na dumadaan pa sa mga distribution. Or for example, dinidistribute nila ito sa iba't ibang outlets pa. Ayan, pulp is then distributed by exporters, merchants, distributors, and importers to paper mills and converting plants. Okay, so yun. For the manufacturing naman, yan, merong mga manufacturing companies na, 'di ba, parang kunyari, na-produce na sila sa paper, pinoproduce pa nila yung from the manufacturing, napoproduce pa nila to into notebooks, ganun. So, paper is manufactured in paper mills and converting plants. Yan. So, yun. Retail and consumption. Ayan. So, yan. Kunyari nakapag-produce na sila ng papel or notebook. Yan. From the paper, then from to the notebook. Yan. So, i-distribute pa ng mga manufacturing companies to through retailer. Okay? Kunyari, mga wholesaler, ganyan. Or pwede rin naman directly to the consumptions na. Or directly to the consumer. Pwedeng ganun. So, final products from the paper mills and converting plants are delivered to users for use, such as printers, publishers, newspaper, book, copy paper. Ayan. So, the three sectors are heavily interdependent. The primary sector provides the raw materials used in the secondary sector or manufacturing sector. Yan. And then after the processing or manufacturing, the tertiary sector delivers the goods and services to the consumer. Okay, so interdependent sila sa isa't isa. Okay, so from the primary sector, this will be converted into finished goods by the secondary sector, and then para mas mapabilis yung distribution, yan, papasok yung mga retailer and wholesaler. Yan. Or pag sa bahay naman, no, kunyari na-convert na ng secondary sector yung mga bahay. Yan, para mas mabilis yung mabenta, dadaan pa yan sa agents na tinatawag or brokers, I think. Yan. Ang gumagawa naman nun is yung tertiary sector. Okay, refer to the initial activity for this lesson. Identify and explain two more business sectors involved in the production of coffee. So I think yung isa pang ma-add ko na two more business sector is yung, I think yung syempre no, yung government. Yan, para magkaroon ng fair and equitable trade. Yan. And as well as syempre yung household. Like yung to discuss natin. Kasi diba itong lesson na to, they only talk about the business sector. Yan. So we can include the household, so where we get the labor, and then the government. Yan. So this is a stage that products undergo before they are sold to the consumer. So chain of production. Okay, so yung mga telecommunication companies, they belong to, of course, tertiary sector. It's because pag sa tertiary sector kasi, this includes the services. And farming belongs to primary. Yan, yung kung saan nanggagaling yung raw materials. And then sector where coffee producers belong. Yan. So, yung the one who convert the raw materials into finished goods, of course, the secondary sectors. And this sector composed of the businesses that transform raw materials into finished goods, secondary. Yan. So, just to wrap up, and the primary sector is composed of businesses that produce raw materials or extract raw materials from the land. Okay? For example, yung mga farmers. Yan. The secondary sector is composed of businesses that transform raw materials into finished goods. So ito yung mga manufacturing companies. And then the tertiary sector is composed of businesses that provide goods and services to individual and businesses. Okay, like for example, yung mga retailer and wholesaler. Ayan, to challenge yourself, no? Yan, pwede kang gumawa ng sarili mong chain of production in producing loaf of bread. Okay. So, any question, guys? All clear naman ba? I think no, madali lang tong dalawang topic. Yung ano ba yung first topic? Yan, yung circular flow of economic activity. Yan, kung paano nag-flow yung mga activities, for example, yung pagkuha ng manpower and then income. Yan, yung mga connection, no, ng government, households, and the business sectors. And then yung next naman is yung main producing sectors natin in the economy. And we have the three sectors, the primary, secondary, and then tertiary. Okay, so if there's no question regarding the topic, we can now discuss yung activities natin. So before tayo magbakasyon, yan, i-check lang natin kung ano na ba yung status ng activities natin. So maybe, no, baka may nakaligtaan kayo. Ayan. Okay, so as you can see, yung first quarter natin na activities, 36 out of 40 na yung nakasagot. Parang feel ko yung hindi nakakasagot dito is tatlo lang naman, si Kezia Between, si Shin Villanueva, and then Marisa Garceta. Okay, so again, no, if you know someone, if you know them, if you know those three, just remind them na nagbabaksak na po ang school, no, for grade 12, for the graduating ones. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng hindi kayo nagsasagot tapos makakapasa kayo. So hindi na yun pwede, no? Kasi nasa second year of online na tayo, online learning. So dapat nakapag-adjust na yung mga students. So ayun, kung hindi pa rin sila nakakasagot, then there'll be chances na babagsak sila. And ayun, magre-repeat sila. So wala na akong magagawa. Ano naman mako-compute kong grades kung wala talaga silang sinasagot, 'di ba? So kung nagsasagot naman ng onte, ayan, kaya naman gawa ng paraan. Like papaulitin yung activities sa kanila, ganun. Pero pag hindi nagsasagot, wala akong mako-compute. Okay? So please remind those three na sagutan. Kasi sayang naman, graduating na eh. Isang taon na lang. Ayan. And then sobrang maluwag yung mga teachers sa mga students, like ang haba-haba ng deadline. So 'di ba sayang yung opportunity, unlike na pag face to face kayo, every time na magbi-meet yung teacher and the students, they need to pass the activity. Unlike ng itong online, no, sobrang mahaba yung deadline. Okay? So I think next school year pa naman magbe-face to face. So ligtas pa ang grade 12, no? Yan. Tsaka mas madaming activity pag face to face. Tapos talagang deadline kung deadline, 'di ba? Like bibigay yung assignment ngayon and then next meeting ipapasa na agad yung assignment, no? Unlike during this online, napakahaba ng deadline natin. Sayang naman yung opportunity. Yan, sa hinaba-haba ng deadline, hindi pa rin nasasagutan. Okay, so wala akong mako-compute. I can't do anything. Di naman ako pwedeng mag-magic. Okay? So for the quarter 2 naman, as you can see, mostly, no, 32 out of 40 na yung mga nakakasagot. Itong mga Q2. Ayan. So let's check, no, kung sino ba yung 7 or 8. 8 ata to. And though ano pa naman, mahaba pa naman yung second sem natin, yung second quarter natin, like January 31, ganun. Yan. So si Jennifer Between, Castro, Garceta, Chud, Maglasang, and Shin Erica Villanueva. Okay, kung groupmates na to, no, sa business plan, and remind them, no, to finish the activities. Kung gusto nating magbakasyon at ma-enjoy ang bakasyon without any worries, yan, sagutan na natin para makapagbakasyon na tayo ng 2 weeks talaga. Like, wala na tayong iniisip. Okay, so yun. Ilan yung performance task natin? I think 3 lang naman. Yan, performance task 1, performance task 2, and 3. Yan. Unti na lang, no? Mostly, lagpas na ng 75% tapos na. And again, yung written works natin, pwede natin ulitin. No, kung mababa yung first time score natin, yan. We have all the time para ulitin yung activity. Diba? Sayang yung opportunity na ma-perfect natin siya. Okay, so we also have 3 written works. So tigta tatlong performance task, 3 written work. Yan. And mostly naman, no, lagpas na ng 75% yung tapos. So meaning, unti na lang yung kailangang habulin. At least wala na kayong iisipin, no, yung 75% na yon, wala na silang masyadong iisipin pagbalik nila ng January 31 kasi tapos na sila. Oh. Kung di man nila perfect yan, they only need to improve the score for written work. Okay, so I think ganun din naman sa gas. Check lang natin. Yan. Sa gas naman, ayun, I think lagpas na ng 50% yung tapos na. 13/21. Check natin kung sino yung di nagsasagot. Feel ko ka-close nyo din naman to no, yung gas. May nakakausap kayo. Okay, so si Ceballos, Gagarino, Mahinay, Montano, Quilapillo, Rebajo, and San Juan. Okay, so if you know them, yun, just remind them na, sagutan na. Before kayo magbakasyon. Para pag January 31, wala na kayong problem. Diba? Ayun nyo yun. Wala na kayong iisipin during those 2 weeks. Ako, hindi ako napapakali hanggang may deadline eh. Hanggat kayang tapusin, advance ko na. Para, alam niyo, wala na tayong anxiety with the activities. Pero yung ibang students talaga, malakas ang loob. Like, last minute nagsasagot, no? May nakaya nila yun. Ako hindi, feel ko, nakakataranta siya. So, may question pa ba tayo, guys? Regarding our activities? I think, mostly na naman na nandito, no? Yan, si Crystal Vistal, Irene, Chasel, Ara, Trowelting, Charlotte, and Javier. Tapos na kayo sa, activities. Diba? Wala na kayong problem. Ang saya-saya, makakapagbakasyon kayo. Ayan. So, good thing, no? 75% tapos na. So, hindi na lang yung may problema. Diba? Sarap magbakasyon kapag wala na kayong deadline. Like, kunti na lang yung deadline nyo. Wala na kayong anxiety, wala na kayong masyadong iisipin, hindi na kayo matataranta. And sure na alam yung sarili nyo na hindi kayo babaksak. Basta naman sa mga subjects namin, as long as magsasagot, as long as I think na ginagawa naman nila yung best nila para masagutan yung activities. Then, wala namang worry na kung babaksak yun. No, ang babaksak lang talaga, hindi talaga nagsasagot at all. Kasi wala naman talagang mako-compute doon. No? Hindi namin ma-adjust yun. Or hindi namin mapagbibigyan. Okay. So, yun, again, for the principles of marketing, na lang, yung business plan na lang and prototype documentation. Kasi 75, lagpas na lang 75% yung nakasagot ng written work. Ay, unti na lang. Then, second sem na tayo. Medyo marami-raming sinasagutan sa entrepreneurship. Madami kasing topic dun. Parang siguro mga 10 activity kayo per quarter. Madami talaga siya, maraming sinasagutan. Kaya nga feel ko baka din ako magpa-business plan dun, eh, sa ibang strand. Tapos ano na lang, improvement na lang nung for the ABM, improvement na lang ng ano, nagawa niyang business plan. Kasi kailangan yun for work immersion. Okay? 'Pag wala ng question, we can now, end the call. Ayan, puwede na tayong magpahinga and mag-lunch. Okay, thank you guys. See you next week. And if you have questions regarding the business plan, just message me. Ayun, puwede na magpa-check. So, para ma-revise niyo agad. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.